And guess what? It's on the board. What an exquisite attacking display.
Get ready for an epic display of how to attack the enemy king. We can all learn something from this beautiful miniature. So Hikaru Nakamura is playing with white here. His opponent is Maxime Vachier-Lagrave, or MVL. He's got black. This is the Speed Chess Championship semi-finals, the 5-minute plus 1 second increment section, and Hikaru's just trailing but trying to fight back. So he goes pawn e4, c5 from Maxime. We get knight f3, d6, and now bishop b5 check. This is apparently called the canal attack. Now it would be the Rossolimo if the knight was here, but with the pawn move, black can now go bishop d7. Hikaru trades, the queen takes back. Hikaru now going for this rapid development and a closed centre, not d4. We can see why he gave up the light squared bishop when the pawns are committed to light squares. So knight c6, castles, e6, c3. And now MVL says, okay, you don't want to take the centre, I'm going to take the centre. He does so with pawn d5. And after queen e2, not allowing any kind of queen exchange, preparing maybe to bring a rook later, MVL plays a very sharp move, not forced. He castles queenside. But we love to see it. Opposite sides of the board for the kings, you're going to get an attacking game. Every tempo matters. Hikaru goes knight b to d2. Now he blocks this bishop and leaves it at home, but he's developing with a plan, not just mindlessly. So he wants to push these queenside pawns, then maneuver the knight, and then think about that bishop later. And MVL should do similar. He actually develops his bishop, but he should just go straight with the knight. And say Hikaru carries on with a3, now knight g6, g3 to cover the hop, and after pawn h5, black is attacking far more quickly. You should really leave this bishop at home. MVL goes bishop d6. Now why is this instructive? It looks so natural after a3, knight ge7 to have developed this bishop before the knight and therefore not block it. But the problem is b4. Hikaru's so much further ahead in his tempo attack, and there's a threat now to take here, and the bishop has to waste time recapturing that pawn. Now what happens if black takes? Well, the a pawn can capture, and you're ripping open the a file, helping white attack. You don't usually want to open lines for your opponent on the side they're attacking. And if c4, well, impossible. The square's covered too many times by the white pieces. No good. So MVL now goes knight g6. He's maybe hopping to f4, hitting the queen, hitting this unprotected pawn if the queen moves. Or you could go here, but not ideal. So g3 covers the square, and now h5 was a slightly more accurate move, but f5, similar idea. MVL trying to rip open lines, but here comes takes on c5. A tempo picked up on that bishop. It shouldn't be on d6. It recaptures the pawn, and now Hikaru's got time to close the centre, shut down MVL's attack, turn his attention to the queen side. Now f4 is tried. You've got to try and open lines, but knight b3. Again the bishop on c5, falling foul of this tempo attacking knight. Bishop b6 played, and a4. The threats are coming thick and fast. a5 on the cards, and if black pushes a5, it's miserable. d4 comes. You've hugely weakened the b5 square. That pawn could be loose. The b file's still open. So instead, we see queen f7. Now, it's not entirely clear the purpose of this move. You know, Maxime's bringing that queen into the attack. He soon transfers to f5, but it's very slow. We get pawn a5. The bishop drops, and now d4. Same attacking idea to invade with the queen. And if you go a6 to control that square, stop the pawn pushing, well, knight c5 is a huge problem. This one pressured, rook b1 coming. Who knows if there's even sacks in the air, and then bringing in the queen. Plus knight g5 could come. That queen looks horribly placed. This pawn is then weak, attacked by two knights. So many attacking ideas. So no a6, MVL goes queen f5, and now we get knight c5 anyway. Hikaru bringing the forces into the attack. And what to do now for black? It's just so difficult. This pawn is captured. But again, what was I looking at? Okay, what if captures and pawn takes and then you try and carry on attacking? Well, still white just, whoops, whose move is it? Sorry. Black to move here. Yeah, say you attack. Well, there are knight jumps, but still the queen just comes in, invading, threatening mate. And how do you ever stop it? You know, if you ever push b6, well, now there's check. You don't even have to take this knight. The king moves and you deliver a mate using this knight. And the king can never escape this way because this knight covers. Just one sample line of how bad things are. So MVL takes the pawn, takes the plunge, but now the queen invades. His idea is to block that b file with the bishop, but this is where Hikaru seals the deal. Can you guess the move he plays to crash through? So the move he plays here, well done if you spotted it, the brutal rook sacrifice of takes on a7. And this was the reaction from the guys in the studio.
And guess what? It's on the board. What an exquisite attacking display by Hikaru Nakamura. 3-point deficit? What 3-point deficit, says Hikaru?
Just sparkling.
Now, why is this rook immune? Well, if bishop takes, this is simple enough to understand. It's mate in 1. If the knight takes, well, now the queen drops, and although white's given up an exchange, you're still threatening mate, and you're threatening to take that knight. So if the queen covers the mate, now the knight drops, and the attack just rumbles on for white. You've got 2 minor pieces for the rook, which is good. Plus the king is exposed, you know, the bishop will soon move, the rook will come. Black not long for this world. MVL threw in the towel here. If you want to see another epic game from this great tournament between Magnus and Hikaru, the final, check out the video on screen and do hit that subscribe button to never miss a future video. Thanks very much for watching and see you soon.